Hello, Nia here. Today, let's take a look at the Temporal Rift. Specifically, we'll focus on the Altar of Madness. You're introduced to the Altar of Madness through Liwen's plea to find Lanus. But before we look at how to conquer the Altar of Madness, let's look at the Temporal Rift dungeons. The Temporal Rift consists of the Altar of Madness and the Countess of Blood's boudoir. Each difficulty has its own level and combat power recommendation. Remember to keep this in mind. I would recommend you equip piercing weapons and Aegis armor when attacking magical monsters. Let's look in depth at these dungeons. The first boss is Boranta. It's important to keep an eye on the floor to evade a boss monster's skills. The same tip applies to fighting Boranta. Be sure to steer clear of ground smash before you attack. Also, Boranta can mark specific characters to attack. In such cases, everyone must gather around the characters with marks and defend against Boranta's attacks. Failure to do so may result in these players' deaths. The second tip to defeating Boranta. One of Boranta's skills is Ember. Once used, an Ember appears above each player's head. The red bar underneath the Embers fill up over time. The Ember icons disappear when the bar is full. When that happens, a purple hole appears at the location of the relevant player. Stepping on a purple hole cuts down your HP. Be sure to keep a distance from your party members before their Ember icon disappears. The final boss, Ramog, awaits you in the depths of the Altar of Madness. It is crucial that you keep an eye on the floor to evade skills if you are to defeat Ramog. As expected of a final boss, Ramog's skill targets a large area. Ramog's key skill affects a circular area. It spreads out in all directions, leaving only 1/4 of the area as a safe space. This safe space moves one space at a time, either clockwise or counterclockwise. Players in affected areas take immense damage. As such, it is important that you quickly move to each safe space. On top of this frightening skill, Ramog summons objects such as Nebulite Crystal and Pogrio's Ember. The presence of the Nebulite Crystal empowers Ramog. Destroying the crystal prevents Ramog from becoming stronger and also stuns it for a brief period. Be sure to take advantage of the stun period and unload a flurry of attacks on Ramog. Summoned occasionally, Pogrio's Ember slowly moves to the center of the area. Its arrival at the center inflicts explosion damage, so be sure to destroy it quickly. I've got a helpful tip for you. Actually, it's a tip that I brought up earlier. Using your equipment attributes efficiently can help you clear higher difficulty temporal rifts quicker. In fact, this tip to equip specific attribute equipment is displayed on the temporal rift screen. Lineage 2 Revolution's equipment has helpful, unique attributes. There are a variety of attributes in the world of Lineage 2 Revolution. The rare items we speak of have attributes such as Annihilate, Brilliance, and Iron Wall. These attributes help you in fights against other players by increasing the power of your skills. The attributes that help you in the Temporal Rift are Pierce and Aegis. They are incredibly helpful when you fight powerful magical monsters in the dungeons. So, how does one identify magical monsters? Tap a monster as such, and you can find out whether the monster is a normal, elite, boss, or a magical monster. The golems, powerful mini-bosses, and final bosses in the Temporal Rift are all magical monsters. Now, I'll show you the difference between equipping rare equipment and magical monster-specific equipment. This is an instance of equipping a rare item. The player is equipped with Max Enhancement, grade SR equipment. This is an instance of equipping Pierce and Aegis attribute equipment, which are helpful in fighting magical monsters. The player's only grade SR equipment is the weapon, and the equipment enhancement levels are not the highest. Also, the attribute levels aren't maxed out. Shall we look at how these two players compare in Temporal Rift dungeons? The bosses that were so difficult to defeat before have been defeated easily. This magical monster-specific attribute equipment sure performs better in the Temporal Rift despite having lower stats. Well, that's all for today's video on the Temporal Rift. Hopefully this video was helpful. I'll be back next time with another useful video. Thank you everyone!